Usually, the MLB trade deadline is one of the most exciting times of the baseball calendar, with some teams acquiring new players that will help them in October, and other teams acquiring prospects to help build for their future. But this year, it was suspected that we could see minimal movement at the deadline since we don't really know what will happen with the playoffs and all of the uncertainties that come with having a season in the middle of a pandemic. But in fact, the opposite happened. With the playoffs being expanded, we saw teams like the Miami Marlins go for it by acquiring one of the best position players on the market. There was a lot that went down, and it will certainly shake things up in October. So what's going on, everybody? It's Dawson, and today we are going to be taking a look at the winners and losers of the 2020 MLB trade deadline. And what a better place to start than with the biggest winner from the 2020 trade deadline, the San Diego Padres. The Padres were grabbing a lot of headlines this week, and part of that is since they made the biggest move at the deadline, trading for Cleveland ace Mike Clevinger. Clevinger is currently in his age 29 season, and right now he is better than he has ever been. His pitch repertoire consists of a fastball that hits upper 90s, a slider, a curveball, changeup, and he recently added a cutter to his arsenal. He is a guy that, when healthy, can put up all-star level numbers at the top of the rotation, and he will be up there with Chris Paddock at the top of the Padres rotation for a while, since Clevinger is not eligible for free agency until the 2023 season. The rest of the trade breakdown looks like this. Outfielder Greg Allen will be heading to San Diego along with Clevinger, and in exchange, the Cleveland Indians receive right-handed pitcher Cal Quantrill, outfielder Josh Naylor, catcher Austin Hedges, and prospects Gabriel Arias, Joey Cantillo, and Owen Miller. But the Padres also made 5 other trades that will significantly improve their depth and help them in the postseason. 3 of the 5 trades helped the Padres address their biggest weakness, their bullpen. The first move came last Saturday when the Padres traded for Trevor Rosenthal from the Royals in exchange for 24-year-old outfielder Edward Olivares. Rosenthal was probably the best reliever on the market, and he has looked great so far in his revitalization in Kansas City. He is bringing with him experience in the back end of the bullpen that the Padres needed. Along with Rosenthal, the Padres also acquired Mariners right-handed relievers Taylor Williams, for a player to be named later, and Austin Adams and Dan Ottavilla as a part of the trade for Austin Nola. Although they did bring in Jason Castro, it looks like Nola will be the Padres' primary catcher now that Austin Hedges is gone. And to help boost an already stacked lineup, the Padres also traded for Mitch Moreland to help fill in at DH and first base, but probably mostly DH. Moreland has boosted the launch angles in his swing this year, and his numbers have improved because of it. He is also on a cheap deal with a club option for next season. It has been predicted that San Diego could be the next MLB powerhouse, and they are coming a lot sooner than expected. For a team that hasn't made the playoffs since I was 5 years old, the Padres are now set up to be legitimate World Series contenders for the next few years. The best part about all of these moves that the Padres made is that they didn't have to give up their future to do it. Padres' top prospects like Mackenzie Gore and CJ Abrams still remain in San Diego. Not to mention, most of their players they have acquired have club control beyond this season and can help the Padres win for years to come. Going into the trade deadline, the Cleveland Indians were one of those teams where their direction didn't seem very clear. While they are currently only 1 game back for first place in the AL Central, the probable departure of star shortstop Francisco Lindor still looms over the franchise. They could have gone all in for another shot at the title while they still have Lindor, or they could have traded Lindor and started their franchise's transition, and Cleveland did neither. Trading Mike Clevinger right now seems a bit strange, doesn't it? The return package wasn't that great. Clevinger was still under club control until 2023, and he was one of the best pitchers in the American League. If the Indians really are contending for the World Series this year, this is not the kind of trade you make. Besides, Cleveland probably could have gotten the same return package if they traded Clevinger in the offseason instead. You do have to wonder if there was an issue between Mike Clevinger and the Indians after what happened in Chicago a few weeks ago, which it might have, but it is mostly speculation. Even if Cleveland absolutely felt they needed to trade Clevinger right now, they still made no other moves that can help them win this year. Considering that the Mariners got a higher ranked prospect from the Padres for Austin Hedges than the Indians got for Mike Clevinger, and the team did nothing to help Francisco Lindor before his final year in Cleveland, this trade deadline was not a good look for the Indians. The Padres have had too much young talent in their farm system, and the Mariners were happy to take advantage of that. As a part of the Austin Nola trade, the Mariners were able to receive 22-year-old outfielder Taylor Trammell. Trammell has lightning speed, and there is hope that the power in his swing will improve as well. He was set to be eligible for the Rule 5 draft this offseason, and the Padres didn't really know what to do with him, so the Mariners took him off their hands. Trammell looks like he will be a part of the Nets' great Mariners outfield along with prospects Jared Kelenic and Julio Rodriguez. With the Rangers falling below expectations this year, it was expected that we would see them make some moves at the deadline. And while they did make a move, the biggest trade pieces the Rangers have are all still in Texas. Mike Minor was traded to the Oakland A's for 2 players to be named later, but Lynn and Joey Gallo ended up being the annual false hopes for this year's deadline. Hanging on to Gallo does make sense for now, including this year he does have 3 years of club control, so there's no need to rush a deal unless you get a massive haul in return. But as for Lynn, why is he still there? Lynn was one of the best pitchers available at the deadline, but for one reason or another, the Rangers decided to hang on to him. There were offers on the table, and this seems like a missed opportunity by the Rangers to strengthen the depth of their farm system. The A's did exactly what they usually do when they are contending at the deadline. They went out and got exactly what they needed. Last Friday, the A's traded infielder Franklin Barreto in exchange for Tommy La Stella, and on Monday, they traded for Rangers lefty Mike Minor. La Stella will add some stability at second base alongside Tony Kemp, and Mike Minor will help fill out the rotation. Both players are likely rentals since both of their contracts are up at the end of the year, but this will certainly help the A's push for a deep October run. It is the year 2020, which means it is the time of insane things happening, and the Marlins contending right now is one of them. Okay, Miami did trade Jonathan Villar to the Blue Jays, but they also went out and got Starling Marte, who was the best position player available on the market. And keep in mind, Marte does have a club option after this season, but the Marlins went after him to help them contend this year. Right now, the Marlins are 15-15, which gives them the 5th best winning percentage in the NL, and only 3 games back from the Braves for first place in the NL East. In a bizarre season like this, it would make sense for a team like the Marlins to make a strange but possible postseason push. Along with the Padres, the Toronto Blue Jays were one of the busiest teams at this year's deadline. With a multitude of trades, the Jays were able to address their needs without having to reach deep into their farm. Last week, Toronto acquired left-handed power bat Daniel Vogelbach from the Mariners for cash, and a few days later, they went out and got starter Taijuan Walker from the Mariners as well. On the trade deadline day itself, the Blue Jays continued their search and traded for left-handed starter Robbie Ray, right-handed starter Ross Stripling, and middle infielder Jonathan Villar. All of these moves were low cost. The biggest piece the Blue Jays gave up was Griffin Conine, who was their number 16 prospect. Villar will help hold down the fort in the middle infield until Bo Bichette comes back, and as for pitchers, they all provide a lot of upside, especially Robbie Ray, who was an all-star in 2017. If the Blue Jays coaching staff can help him not walk every other batter, he could be a solid starter with postseason experience that the Blue Jays could rely on in October. The Brewers were one of the teams I was looking forward to watching at the trade deadline. They are only 1 game out from a playoff spot, and their one move was trading away one of their best bullpen pieces in David Phelps to the Phillies. I figured Milwaukee was going to address having one of the worst offenses in the league by trading for somebody, but I stand corrected. The Brewers can say they are content with relying on the roster they have now, but it seems like they have just thrown this season away as a lost cause. One of my biggest concerns for the Phillies heading into the season was their bullpen, and they went ahead and addressed it here. David Phelps was sent to Philadelphia on Monday, where he will be joining other new bullpen arms Brandon Workman, David Hale, and Heath Hembry. Out of the bunch, Phelps is the most reliable, and he should be slotted in towards the back end of the rotation. Not only do these moves give Joe Girardi more options out of the pen, but it will significantly improve the Phillies' playoff chances. Due to postponed games, the Phillies will have to play 30 games in the next 27 days, and the old bullpen was certainly not going to cut it. The Reds have been underperforming so far compared to the high expectations they had heading into the season, but it is nice to see the Reds front office still believing in this team instead of panicking and hitting the giant red button. Cincinnati made 2 trades the day of the deadline, acquiring right-handed reliever Archie Bradley from the Diamondbacks and outfielder Brian Goodwin from the Angels. Goodwin will likely be used in either left or center field, and the Reds can figure out how they want to use their outfield when Nick Senzel returns. Based off their performance this year, I would have preferred if Cincinnati added another bullpen arm along with Bradley, but at least they got something done, unlike some contenders. One of the more bizarre parts of this year's deadline is that the top contending teams that usually bolster their roster did nothing. Out of the Yankees, Rays, Astros, White Sox, Braves, and Dodgers, the biggest move that was made was the White Sox trading for Jarrod Dyson. Now, some teams have bigger needs than others. The Braves could have used another starter or two, the Astros needed some veteran bullpen presence, and the Rays could have made a move to help push them over the Yankees in the AL East. Even the Dodgers, who are the best team in baseball, probably should have acquired a pitcher just to help get them over the World Series hump. But with the lower playoff seeds being active making trades and most of the top contending teams standing still, I guess we will just have to see how this changes things in October. Thank you all for watching, and let me know in the comments below which team do you think won the MLB trade deadline and how this affects the postseason in October. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We got new baseball content dropping year round. But thanks again, everybody, and I will see you all soon.
I'm so sick of these games. Every single day it started feeling the same. Another goes by, guess I'm running late. It's so difficult when I have no idea what comes tomorrow.